Back again for another build guide today. We're gonna get back to streaming the actual content clearing pretty soon. I just wanted to get through some of these build guides for you guys. So the weapon that we're gonna be running a build guide for today is actually the Arca Plasmor. It is a shotgun type weapon. Its base damage is actually radiation. Let me go ahead and clear all so we can actually get into different ways to build this weapon. Okay, this is a two forma build, which means I have polarized 2 slots on this weapon in order to make this build possible. You can still use no formas on this weapon. Just keep in mind it's going to make it where you can't use quite as many of the high cost mods that I use. But this is the best way that I've found to build it so far. And I do have multiple variants that I've built. I have one with magnetic damage for like level 100 corpus enemies, and I have one with gas damage for high level infested because they are more resistant to radiation damage. But the base build that we're actually going to do, first we're going to start with an all radiation build. Like, how high can we get this radiation number, right? So radiation, it even tells you right there, is heat and electric. Okay, so first blaze, damage and heat, right? And go to primed mods, primed point blank, obviously, or if you don't have the primed version, definitely can use the regular version of point blank on this weapon. It still works, just not obviously with as high numbers as this gives us. Now right now this is still coming through as heat damage, which means we have to add some electricity here. So let's go over here for a shell shock. Shell shock you get by completing Naglar on Eris and finding the caches that are on that planet. That's how you find shell shock, you guys. See, this takes a radiation up here. It takes our status chance pretty high as well. Now, let me see. Scattering Inferno is another heat mod. It's going to add to that radiation damage. Let's just actually go type in heat. Incendiary coat. Right, like I said, our main priority right now is getting these numbers as high as possible. We want to see exactly how high we can get them, right? Electric damage, charged shell, right? And of course you can get these numbers even higher via Riven mods. But I don't currently have a Riven mod for this weapon, so I'm building it without one right now. Vicious spread, plus 90% damage and plus some spread. It's definitely helpful. And then we're going to go with multi-shot with Hell's Chamber. Multi-shot is probably the most broken statistic in this game to add to weapons, so I always build multi-shot. If you look there, as far as just building pure radiation damage, you can get up to 23,377, which is actually a really high number. And that does just exactly, with our 2 formas, it does just exactly clear out our 60 mod capacity. For those of you that don't know how to achieve that, you either pay 20 platinum or find an Orchid Catalyst blueprint and build it, and then you install that catalyst on a weapon and it doubles its mod capacity. So that's just radiation damage. If all you want's radiation, then that's the way to go. Corpus armored enemies are highly affected by radiation. Corrosive is actually better for Grenier enemies and things like that. So now we're actually going to build this into multiple damage types is what we're going to do. So we're going to drop some of these mods, actually. Because it already has radiation damage, right? Actually, as a base, after we leave just the damage and multi-shot mods, it has a base radiation of like 5,082. It's quite a high number already, right? So what we're going to do now is we're going to still build for higher damage numbers. We're not going to try to take them quite as high. We're going to go for more wave clears, how I prefer to build the Arca Plasmor, which is why I have the spread here. It already has some default punch through based on its just based on its fire type. So it already kind of has a little bit of punch through naturally. So we're not going to touch punch through. Actually, we're not going to build that. Fire rate and puncture. We don't want puncture damage, to be honest. So therefore, guys, we're going to build this a little bit differently. Let me see, heat and electric is radiation, heat and cold is a blast. Let's build some blast. How about that, you guys? You guys like blast, right? So we're actually going to frigid blast, I think, is how we're going to build that. We want to make sure that when we build for a specific element type, that we leave the ones related to that element type close to one another. So we're going to build this like this, right? Gives you 7,000 blast damage out of it. Now, we're going to go ahead and build with the opposing elements as well. This is heat and cold, so now we need electricity and toxin, right? Which I believe is corrosive. So charge shell. There. Well, actually, let me see. We're going to drop this. We're going to go for higher corrosive numbers. I really don't like the Grineer enemies, to be honest. And we're going to go higher on the corrosive and lower on the blast. This is also referred to as a quad status build, just so you guys know. And the reason why the numbers are messed up right now is simply because of the load order right now has this tied in with Blaze. We just haven't added the toxin damage quite yet, which we can do here. Toxic Barrage, Contagious Spread. Toxic Barrage it is. And that gets you your Tri-Element, your Blast, Corrosive, and Radiation here. That gives you all of that. You still have 11 mod capacity, so like I said, I like pushing that corrosive number higher. But if you'd rather push the blast number higher, you can do that as well. And it still gives you, if you look at it, still gives you a total of about 23,000 damage. You're still pumping out quite a bit of damage, just split up into 3 elements instead of a single element type. So blast damage is effective, equally effective against almost everything, especially things that don't have armor. Radiation is great versus Corvus armored targets, and corrosive is great versus Grineer armored targets. So this is basically an armor shredding weapon at this point. It gives us a status chance of 87.8% after the multi-shot bonus. Without the multi-shot bonus, just gonna pull up Hell's Chamber again. Without the multi-shot bonus, it's only at 61.6, so your true status chance is actually 61.6. This extra status chance is spread out across the extra projectiles that this weapon's going to fire. So my other configurations here, as you can see, they all include the same basic mods like Hell's Chamber, Point Blank. This one even has Vigilante Armaments for extra multi-shot. You can do that as well. Instead of pushing the actual damage numbers higher, you can go for extra multi-shot. Definitely isn't a bad idea, nor would it be a mistake. Vigilante mod, just like all the set mods, the Vigilante mods, the Augur mods, things like that, they come from Cetus. Mod acquisition here. Hell's Chamber you actually get by carrying defense missions. Forget which rotation it is, but it's after 15 waves you have a chance of it dropping a Hell's Chamber for you. So you can go find you like Lith on Earth, some low-level defense mission, push it to 15 waves and extract, rinse and repeat until you pull a Hell's Chamber. Blaze, I believe, is just from Nightmare missions, which are alerts that pop up. That's the only place you can get it. They suck to do, but Blaze is absolutely worth it. I've never had anything to complain about from mods like this one. Frigid Blast you get from spy missions, Rotation C. It's very specific spy missions. You can type it in your codex. I'll show you how to do that in a moment. Vicious Spread is considered a corrupted mod for some reason. You have to get it from Oricon Vaults, just like Narrow-Minded and the rest of the other corrupted Warframe mods. And then Toxic Barrage drops from was it Corrupted Vor? Yeah, I think it's Corrupted Vor. You can find it by going to the Void. I think after like level 20 or 30 in Void missions he'll start spawning, like survivals, things like that is usually where I find him. Then obviously Charge Shells, Contagious Spread are just enemy drops, they're very basic. So is the regular version of Point Blank. Prime Point Blank mod acquisition is the Void Trader, just like all the other primed mods in the game. So this is what, as seen in this build, this is the build. Suppose we better at least show you guys how it works, shouldn't we? Blast Corrosive Radiation, right? So I'm going to briefly show you in your codex how to find a specific mod and determine where it where it comes from. Come here. If it's a very specific mod, like you see it on my build guide, you don't know where to get it, you can always come here and type in like Vicious for Vicious Spread. Oricon Vaults, it tells you right down there at the bottom. This one, like I said, these are all spy missions that this drops from, and it only drops from Rotation C. Cryotic Front's an event quest that doesn't currently exist in the game. but the rest of these are all spy missions. They're very specific. Drops for rotation C. That means that you can't allow any of the spy points to purge. If the data purges, you're done, and you can't. You don't get this mod. You don't even have a chance of getting this mod anymore. Rotation B and rotation A have different drop tables than rotation C does, so it only drops on rotation C. It's the same with all the cold dual stat mods. You can type in Frigid Blast, which is the shotgun one here. As you can see, Sedna Kappa, Cuba Fortress Pago. I don't recommend doing spies in the Cuba Fortress. They're very convoluted, but technically I think it has the highest chance of dropping it. Pluto, Shannon, Uranus, Neptune. So jobs from Neptune all the way through Sedna, basically, is where it jumps from, and from the Cuba Fortress. That being said, I think we're actually going to go ahead and run to the Void just to probably do an exterminate mission. Have a good chance of testing this build out against various enemy types and things like that anyways, right? So let me see, is it sabotage, mobile defense, interception, captures? Oh, that's low level as crap, isn't it? They are 30 to 35. Is there a higher level capture or exterminate? Let me see, 30, 35. What level are these? See, right now there's a nightmare survival there. Those are the worst, to be honest. Okay, so we're just gonna do the capture because it'll go the fastest. Now I'm gonna be using Mirage with the Arca Plasmor. That is gonna effectively make my weapon fire 3 times every time I squeeze the trigger. So definitely a beast. Honestly, it's a beastly combination. Mirage Arca is really, really good. As you can tell, there's not much that this weapon still can't one-shot, at least at level 30. Oh, there's the capture target already. As you can see, its wave clear is actually quite high. Your wave clear with this build will be kind of insane, to be honest. Let's do it without the Mirage Hall of Mirrors bonus. Oh, we're supposed to get up there. As you can see, like I said, it has a little bit of that natural punch through. As you can see, these are mostly Corpus and Grenier enemies. That's usually what spawns the most of in missions like this. And with this build, this is still like most shotguns, it's pretty much just a point-and-shoot weapon. As you can see, with its damage types, it still has no problem taking out that Ancient. That's where your blast procs come in, to be honest. One of the reasons we need to build blast is because radiation and corrosive aren't nearly as effective versus those infested targets like that. So while you can get your radiation number really, really high, I still recommend against doing that. Building in some other element types, because some element types just aren't effective versus some of the enemy types in the game. Especially when you start doing things like sorties. I've already done today's sortie, so I can't rerun that. Now, something to keep in mind is they did remove the bonus damage that you used to get from headshots with the Arca Plasmor. You no longer get that. As you can see, even without the Hall of Mirrors, and this is what Hall of Mirrors does to your Arca shot. Basically creates a wall of Arca Plasmor, which is always helpful. Oh, nice. course, this is Mirage, so we can always clear a whole room with just that. I think that's enough of a demonstration for right now, to be honest. So we're gonna go ahead and run to extract real fast. I hear a cache. Oh, it's back here. $30-minute Infinity Booster, 500 credits, and Mantis Avionics. Yay! I already have the Mantis built though. I just don't like it. And an already built Forma, so picking up those little caches like that are definitely worth it. It's an already complete Forma, so you don't have to waste the credits or time building it. I think they take 24 hours to build them, so. Anyways, guys, I appreciate you watching. This is Skillz at ComaCloud, again with the Arca Plasmor, and I will be back pretty soon to give you guys some more build guides. And like I said, we're going to get back into clearing that content as soon as we can. I do appreciate you guys again for watching, and Skillz at ComaCloud. Bye-bye.